Hey, good evening, good evening. It's Mr. Lane here, coming to you from San Diego, California. Just wanted to start this little Google Hangout YouTube channel. Kind of talk about what is going on with myself. I got some goals I have decided to start. I'm going to kind of share those with everyone else. Maybe there's some people in the same position that I'm in currently, and maybe this will help them out as well. Like I said, my name is Mr. Lane. I am a entrepreneur, a medically retired United States Marine. I served 2.5 years, got injured during a training incident. I was with 2-4 Echo Company and 3-5 Lima Company, 0351, anti-tank assaultman, and infantry. So if you know anything about the military, infantry is kind of the crazies. But that's what we do. So we just kind of wanted to share online today with just a little bit about myself. Like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, medically retired United States Marine, and looking to start my first online marketing business here within the next day. My goal personally is to make $4,000 in the next 30 days by doing an online marketing business. So you gotta start somewhere. So I figured I'd probably try to document my progress as much as I possibly can, and see if anyone else might be able to follow the same progress or have any insight to be able to assist with this project. So the first thing that you have to obviously do is sit down and try to figure out your target market. What is the product that you're going to try to sell, or what is the service you're going to try to provide? Or are you going to look for someone else that's already providing something and you become an affiliate and offer out their services? There's so many different ways to go when starting an online business itself, period. You know, I hear time after time, follow your passion. What are you passionate about? I agree to disagree with that statement. I think it's kind of overrated a lot of times. You can find passion in a lot of different things, and sometimes you didn't even know that you had passion in certain criterias or certain areas of business. For myself, I've started a small business doing judgment recovery. If you're not familiar with it, feel free to check out my site at any time. Actually, I'll try to provide a link to it at some point. I really don't know how to utilize Google Hangouts all that great yet, so I apologize for that. I didn't take the time like most people probably do when starting out, is to learn all about the system before you actually go online and start broadcasting yourself out there to the world. I guess I like to do things a little backwards. Get a little too motivated, a little too fast, maybe. I don't know. You be the judge. All I know is there's a lot of different ways to create different businesses. One thing I've been doing a lot lately is listening to podcasts. I was referred by a good friend of mine, what I consider a good business mentor. He kind of referred me over to the podcast and got me turned on to those, and it's been somewhat addicting to a certain degree. There's one gentleman I like to mention and give some credit to is John Lee Dumas. He's got a pretty good show. It's Entrepreneur on Fire. He really kind of gets down into a little bit of the nuts and bolts of business and how to do podcasting. He shows an income report. And I think that's kind of what I liked about John Lee Dumas and his podcasting techniques was that he's not afraid to show you the proof. So it's like the proof's in the pudding. It's great. So John Lee Dumas, I'm pretty sure you'll probably never see this or hear this, but hey, thank you for the motivation, buddy. I'm not a person to really even be doing these types of broadcasts, or at least I didn't think I would be. But I finally broke that cycle, I feel, of just putting myself out there and letting go of all the fears of all the craziness that you have, I guess, when putting yourself online and just talking to the world and not feeling stupid. I guess it's probably a better way to look at it. Like I said, my name's Mr. Lane. I'm just looking to help other people, like-minded individuals like myself, that at the end of the day, they just want to better themselves some way, some shape, some form. You know, really funny thing that I kind of always hear all the time, or you see all the time, is that people are always trying to get rich quick. But what does rich really mean? That's really the question to ask yourself. What does rich look like in your eyes? I don't want to be rich. And that's the honest truth. I don't want to be rich at all. I want to be wealthy. The difference that I see is being rich is arrogance, somewhat, entitlement, not valuing the dollar. But who am I to really say, I wouldn't want to be rich. I've never been rich. I guess I just wouldn't want a status. This is the best way that I guess I look at it. I would just rather be wealthy, where I could take care of my family, have a private life for the most part, and know that at the end of the day that I'm creating an empire for my family, but also following my own dreams, doing something I personally love doing, and helping others achieve success. Me personally, I feel if I made $15,000 a month, I could probably, okay, let me rephrase that. I could provide for my children the way that I want to provide for them. And it's not so much materialistic items, it's providing a college fund for them. It's providing that first car for them when they do turn 16. It's being able to have that emergency money. It's being able to help a family member in dire need or help a friend out that needs something. One thing with all these podcasts that I see, and okay, not all of them, but some of them, they show an income report, and it's very, very, very enticing and so motivational. Because, of course, like anybody else, I don't personally think that all these people are just lucky. I don't think it's a lottery. I think they've found a way to market themselves and position themselves better and more effectively than others. I don't really think it's any top trade secret information. I just think it's knowledge. Knowledge is key. Learning from the people that do it and then putting your own twist on it. It's really all it is. You're duplicating the system and putting your own twist to it. You're putting your own personality to all the situations. You know, when I first started out, I guess being an entrepreneur, I can honestly say I had no clue what an entrepreneur was. I didn't even know what the word was. I mean, once again, I'm from small town Ohio. Entrepreneurship was nothing that was necessarily brought up as a career choice, I guess, for lack of better words. You know, my growing up was my mother became pregnant with me when she was 20. My biological father dipped, like, completely. He found out my mom was pregnant. It was pretty much like, I'm out of here. My mom tried taking him to court for child support. And back then, you know, this kind of tells you a little bit of my age, I guess. Child support was only $25 a week. And he couldn't afford the $100 a month. So the judge told him, he gave him basically a choice. And my father explained to the judge, sir, at this current time, you know, work is rough. I can't find no work. I can barely support myself. You know, how can I support a child, etc.? And the judge told him, well, I have a place for you that has, I can feed you 3 square meals a day. And my father said, screw that. And he dipped out and he took off. So he bailed. And then when I was about 2, and I don't recall this, but I just know, due to my grandparents and my mother telling me about this, when I was about 2, my mother met an incredible man that raised me till I was 14. His name was Bud, and I owe a lot of credit to him. He basically just stepped up and took me under his wing and treated me as his own child and taught me how to throw a baseball, taught me how to kick a soccer ball, taught me how to wrestle, and somewhat taught me how to love unconditionally, even if the child's not yours. That's something I don't feel a lot of people can do sometimes, is to love another child even though they're not your blood. And didn't realize, my parents divorced at 14 when I was 14, and I remarried to my best friend that had two children from a previous marriage herself. But all those traits that my dad, Bud, taught me have all carried over to my life today, as I've taken on the role of being a father and being a dad to my two girls. And I owe a lot of the credit to him showing me how to do that. Now, I can't say after 14 that it was that great after that, unfortunately, just because the choices that my mother chose to take, her and I didn't see eye to eye, I guess is probably, for lack of better words. And it is what it is. But as time progressed, my stepfather that my mom decided to marry after that decided to do a construction business, like a handyman service, where I was 14, I was spoiled rotten, I can't lie. That's just how life was for me back then. But after my mother remarried to the new guy, he had me doing landscaping at random people's homes that, I guess, people that he knew. It's kind of weird. I never did manual labor before, and that's really sad, but it is what it is. But it was interesting. He ran a small business. It wasn't successful really at all. And he was an entrepreneur, but not really. Back where I came from, it was just, he was running a small business. It wasn't really him being an entrepreneur. So it wasn't him trying to take the business to the next level. So I really didn't know anything about it until I was out here in California. After I got out of the Marine Corps, I started working at a real estate consulting company and was doing very good back in 2005, 2003 to 2007, really. But once the real estate bubble hit, commissions hit down, my lifestyle had to change drastically. And so I'd start looking for other options and other businesses to get into. I had a colleague of mine that I was working with. He was involved in a business called sendoutcards.com. I still think they're still around to this day. I haven't checked them out in forever. This is back in 2005, 2006, I think, when he introduced me to them. And back then it was a $300 enrollment to get started with them. And they basically sent out personalized greeting cards to people, and pretty interesting concept. Back then, I thought it was gonna, I don't know, you get on that high of a new idea that you feel is going to take you to that next level. And still back then, I still didn't even know what being an entrepreneur was. I just figured, hey, I was going to go out and try to talk to everyone and tell them how great it is to send out personalized cards. And we have a whole software backend to basically automate this process for you, send you a reminder in your email, a certain amount of days prior to their birthday, so we can get it out, because they take care of the shipping, the whole 9 yards. And you even had a form where you could actually write out the alphabets in your own handwriting, and they were able to take that and incorporate it into the card, so the card looked like you actually personally handwritten the message inside the card. Pretty neat, pretty clever, but unfortunately I failed. I didn't take it that serious, I reached out to people like I feel everyone else does in these types of businesses, and I reached out to family, friends. Back then, MySpace was the cool thing. So once again, that kind of tells you my age. And man, I had a couple people sign up, a couple people got in the program, but just never really became profitable with it, and never really successfully implemented everything that I should have. So I can't chalk up using their system or their system necessarily as a loss, but definitely like a little learning curve. Shortly after that, I got involved with a company called CyberWise, and that was very interesting. I really still to this day don't really know how I even managed to link up with them, but they had a very interesting products to choose from back then. It was some type of drink that would be healthy for you, take care of nutrients, vitamins, whatever. They also had some type of travel program service that they provided. That didn't last long at all. Nothing even came over it really, besides the people hounding me about trying to get me into their program. But I just could never find that real passion or drive to really do anything with it. So when I was in the real estate industry, though, I noticed one thing that was happening quite a bit was people were getting turned down for mortgages quite a bit. So that led me on to my next big adventure as an entrepreneur or a small business owner. This is really where I learned about being an entrepreneur, was when I started the adventure of credit, helping people reestablish their credit, basically educating people on credit repair. Not necessarily doing credit repair for them, but giving them the tools and the resources so they could do it themselves and improve their credit to get a home or purchase a vehicle. Back then, it was mainly just to get a home. Coming out of the real estate industry, I had a lot of contacts in the mortgage industry, so therefore I took advantage of that opportunity. And that was a really good business, but the downfall to credit repair itself is that at the end of the day, you can't predict the results for anyone. Credit repair is something that you just don't have no control over as a business owner. There's no magical dispute letter that's going to erase anything. I mean, if you owe the debt, you technically owe the debt. You need to take care of it some way, shape, or form. Work with the creditors. The creditors they really don't want to work with you, but at the end of the day, they will. And there's ways that you can work with your creditors to get them to at least try to take the negative mark that's on your credit report and turn it into a positive remark. It's not rocket science, but it's like anything else. It's like taking your car to get an oil change. Everyone can change the oil in their car for the most part, but it's the convenience of letting someone else do it that knows how to do it. And that's the convenience of credit repair, though, is letting someone else that does know how to do it produce those dispute letters on the items that you feel are not being reported correctly. But it's all up to you. It's the credit repair business. I don't know. It's interesting. But I did that for probably about 7 years. And it was a good business. I can't say that I was extremely wealthy or lucrative, or it's like the niche business to get into. I highly recommend no one get into the business unless you've already been in the business and you know what you're doing. But if you want to start a credit repair business, I highly recommend staying away from it. There's a lot of stipulations in the credit repair industry right now. It is starting to get regulated a lot more. So there's a lot more processes and funds that you have to put up at the beginning to even get the ball rolling, and it can get astronomically expensive. After the credit repair industry, I got into debt settlement with a friend of mine that owns a debt settlement company here in California, and started working with him doing sales, customer service, and then switched off doing negotiations, settling people's debt out for them. And I can honestly say that was another interesting gig. At this moment, I'm going to take a short break. I will be back in probably another 5 minutes, and I'll resume then.